there are gradations to the alt-right, like there are gradations to sex workers and strippers and pornographers. So if you go to a strip club, you'll find that the girls are often quite catty, about other girls, that like one girl might spread more, show more, reveal more than the other girls, and so the regular girls think she's a slut. And I'm sure if you go to a sewer, there are various, forms of sewage in a sewer, and, some are, probably more deadly than others. And then in the pornography industry, certain people look down on other pornographers. They're not real pornographers, or they're false to the medium or whatever. So there are always gradations in the human condition. But for people in polite society, they have no interest in, social interactions with sex workers in general. Like nobody wants to bring a hooker home to meet his mother. And people in polite society, understandably, have no interest, except a prurient interest, in alt-right personalities anymore. While prior to Trump's election, there was something often, funny or entertaining or compelling. But once the alt-right got associated with slaughtering people, it ceased to be funny.
Now, I know that someone like Spencer, who advocates for the banning of 4chan because it creates the situation you're talking about, where it basically people get radicalized online, and then it looks like violence is their only thing to do afterwards. And he's been very critical of this arc. I think this has made him very pessimistic of a lot of anonymity on Twitter or the internet in general, is the idea that you don't really have authentic conversations. You allow all the trolls. You mentioned earlier the pranksters. Do you think even somebody who kind of makes the whole movement look bad, or someone who does something like a shooting, would we still label them as alt-rights, even if a lot of people would like to distance themselves from like that specific activity?
Well, for right now, I mean, the alt-right is just considered, a murderous bunch of Nazis, and it cannot be, reclaimed in, the next 10 years. I mean, it is dead and dusted. Now, Richard Spencer's, interesting, because when the trolls were on his side, he was all on board with anonymous trolling. But when the trolls turned against him, he turned against the trolls. So Richard Spencer was all for free speech, free expression, anonymous trolling, when he felt like he was leading them, when he was the leader, when he was showing the way, when he felt like they were doing what he wanted. But then when they went against him, then he suddenly became much more, hostile towards free speech, free expression, and trolling.